Welcome to Park Esler in Newry, where Down have beaten Donegal in the Ulster Championship for the first time since 2010. 213 to 111, the final score. Donegal failing to register a score after the 63rd minute, and it really cost them. Former Down player Danny Hughes is with me. First of all, Danny, take all the, I suppose, thoughts of tactics and everything out of your head at the moment. Just as a Down man, as a former Down player, how are you feeling right now? Because there has been some tough days, but this is not one of them.
Absolutely not, and we, as you said rightly, we've had some very, very tough days, and to come away from Newry with a win is I'm delighted for the new management, delighted for the players as well, because they put in a huge amount of work since October. And listen, a couple of our clubmates on the panel, so I know exactly, the kind of commitment that was required to be there, and they got their just reward today.
And I want to put this on the record. You did see it coming. It's easy to say after the fact, but in fairness, I spoke to you on Friday and you said I fancy Down.
Yeah, I did. I just felt that the amount of work that Conor has put into the players, the amount of work that they went through in the National League as well, and we're very, very unfortunate not to be promoted as well. Given where Donegal are, given the I suppose the heave of management there, the internal stuff that's going on with the county board, the players that are missing, I just felt in Newry, with the weather decent, I thought Down could have taken them, and they were full value for the win.
Conleith 1-4 apiece at half time. They were level 3 times in the first half. Down were just better in the second half, but break that down for us. Tell us how and why.
Yeah, look, I think Donegal's inefficiency in front of goal did cost them. They didn't score from the 63rd minute in a game that they were well in, even though they weren't playing well. So I think Down up front got the penalty at a really good time. Whenever the game was ebbing and flowing, they just nudged themselves in front, and that gave them a huge platform. And whenever Donegal did get their purple patch, number one, it wasn't enough to get them inside to a lead or a draw. And then they started kicking silly wides, started pumping balls in. And look, to be fair to Donegal, it'd be easy to put the boot in. They gave it what they had. They didn't have the same impact off the bench. They've had loads of trouble, and whenever Oisin Langan goes off with a hamstring, you did start to think that who's going to come in and who's going to do it, and ultimately today they didn't have that. And look, it's going to be a very difficult run now for Donegal to regroup into the Super 16.
You won an AIB All-Ireland club title with Kilcoo as their coach, so you know all about their players. Ryan Johnson stood up today, he was immense. Eugene Brannigan, who caused a lot of controversy with some of his comments about why he wouldn't and maybe some other players wouldn't go into the Down setup, but today he walked the walk, he talked the talk. Daniel Guinness was fantastic. Obviously he's not one of your boys, one of your Kilcoo boys, but they were 3 standout performers. 3 of another maybe 5 or 6 we could name. We could probably name them all as standout performers.
Yeah, they were. Look, I thought Pat Heverin was very good as well, and Daniel Guinness. Ryan McAvoy put himself about. There was loads and loads of good performances, the majority of them in that team. But to go back to it, like Conor Laverty took on that Down job while he was still playing for Kilcoo in last year's senior championship. It wasn't easy. They didn't get starting maybe as early as a lot of teams did, as early as they wanted to. Yeah. He was under a fair wee bit of pressure, and like, he's answered those critics. Any critics he's had, he's answered it. Not only that, he didn't start. One of their enigmatic talisman would have been Oran Murdoch. And everybody's forgetting today, Oran Murdoch was saved so he could try and help Down under 20s.
And Caelan Mooney not available, Barry O'Hagan not available.
There was loads of reasons why this wasn't go well, but to be fair, Conor Laverty, Mickey Donnelly had that wee bit of experience at county level, as well. So I think they deserve an awful lot of credit. They got the likes of Eugene Brannigan back playing for Down, and I think all those players, you need depth now. The one thing that you need is depth. And when you look at today, Poland comes off the bench and gets a point, and Andrew Gilmore comes off the bench and gets 2. In a game of margins, that's what you need. And Gilmore, he scored something like 2-13 all year, and he doesn't get starting. So it just shows that there was always good footballers in Down. They just needed somebody to come and solidify it and bring it all together. And Conor Laverty, to be fair, has been that man at this time.
Let's talk about the way Down set up. They sat deep and went on the break. Now that's modern football. Every team does that. It's how you do it though. It's the job you give certain players. Obviously, Laverty got that 100% spot on today.
He did, and their first score, I think Donegal's first score was the goal. And I suppose if you're going to give away a goal in a match, especially the way the football is played now, in the first couple of minutes, it is the best time to give it away. But Down, to be fair, looked really, really solid at the back. They were very, very hard to break down. Great discipline in the tackle as well, and Donegal really between their shot selection and balls that they gave away handed them to Down, and Down broke really, really well on the counter, particularly in the second half, and they really made them pay. But you know, as I say, Down were really, really solid. Aside from, I suppose, that goal and the goal that they did get, they looked really solid, and Donegal didn't look like they're carrying really any threat. And I suppose the one thing that would sum up for me is Brennan down the line here. You know, nobody within a couple of yards of him, and they just head off him and went out over the sideline. That really summed up Donegal.
How worried should Donegal fans be as they now have a bit of a gap before the last 16, the All-Ireland series? Can they get what's going wrong right for that?
Yeah, look, you can always can. You know, all teams are only ever one win away from things being better. You know, and things are always terrible just before they're not. So, look, Donegal can. They have good players. You know, they've showed that over the last number of years. You know, they're in a low place now, but the only place they can go is improve. So I think they'll have to go back and try and find a better system of play. They're going to have to try and find a wee bit of chemistry up front, because when they did go, like Darrow Boyle showed 3 or 4 moments of absolute brilliance. You know, Kieran Thompson did similar, but they just didn't have enough of them. And when you looked at their full forward line, as Danny touched on, the couple of balls bounced over the sideline. Stuff like that at this level costs you, because once you give away a ball, you know, it's very, very difficult to get it back. But I think Donegal, they would want to be in a nice group. You know, they don't really want a group of death or anything like that. So, but where they're at now, beggars can't be choosers. They'll have to take what they're given. But they're going to get a game in Ballybuffet, and no matter how it is, they are still notoriously very difficult to beat there.
To outline how bad the situation is for Donegal, how low they've gone, this is the first time they've lost their opening round Ulster fixture since 2010. Guess who beat them in 2010? Danny?
Yeah, it was a great day we had up there, but listen, things haven't been great since then for us now, so I'm not, you know, and Conleith knows this.
You won't feel too sorry for Donegal today.
No,
it's all about down. Yeah.
Absolutely, and you look at in the period between then and now, like Donegal added 5, an All-Ireland title, 5 Ulster titles, but I would say, like, even though today you can see the blow that not having Mickey Murphy is. Mickey Murphy is not only obviously a leader, iconic leader, and has done the business on the field for years now. It was always going to be a very, very difficult year for Donegal with him gone, and add into that all those other players that are missing. Ryan McHugh's even a massive loss for them, breaking lines, getting through pockets of space there.
And McBrearty as well.
And McBrearty's massive. Like, of all the things that can go wrong, it's a total nightmare for Donegal at the minute. And I suppose, yes, I agree with Conleith. Maybe one win might do them a world of good, but just at the minute, I think this is a year that Donegal probably need to get away from as quickly as possible, to get something internally done within their own county board and get that all sorted out first.
Can Down beat Armagh in the semi-final?
Yeah, look, I think they absolutely can, but it's a very different prospect. You know, even though Armagh and Donegal both get relegated, they're just at 2 total different ends of the spectrum. And like, when you look at where Armagh have been, obviously in this championship, they probably had that preliminary round but got the bad league out of their system. And last night, I thought, like, they were so dominant for periods. Yeah, look, they showed wee chinks near the end, that a game could have went a wee bit tighter. But I think when you have, Rian O'Neill, Conor Turbot, like, you've so many riches. You're bringing players to the bench. McPartland comes in for his debut on his first day, kicks 4 points. I just think they've so much to offer that it's going to be a very difficult day for Down defensively. But the one thing that they've showed today is they can come up with a game plan, and again, it'll have to change. The personnel may change, but I think Down will be feeling every bit of confidence of getting to an Ulster final and possibly trying to play in Sam Maguire, which would be huge, because Down would be a county that would be seen at the top end, and where they've been probably hasn't been a true reflection of the talent within the county, as Danny would know very well. So look, they'll really enjoy tonight, and then they'll get back down to work, because the one thing that Conor Laverty and the management team won't let them get ahead of themselves, because they'll know there's a really tough task ahead with Armagh.
They'll not even enjoy the night, because knowing Conor, he won't allow them out the door. It'll be recovery. There'll be no resting on their laurels here as far as Down's concerned, I would say. But I would say at Armagh, all the pressure here is on Armagh. They were expected to beat Cavan, which they did, but again, Rian O'Neill was needed at the end to pull one off the line. It was a fantastic save, so that would have put 2 or 3 in the points in it at that stage. I think Down have absolutely nothing to lose going into this weekend or next weekend, next Sunday. So you know, the pressure is going to be in Armagh, and over the years, have they dealt with that well? I'm not so sure if they have. They've carried that favourite tags that
The
well.
down lads are starting
So,
early, aren't they, Conleith?
Yeah, so listen, I'm not sure. I think we've shown that we're very defensively solid there.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there's definitely cause for hope now next weekend.
Danny Hughes, formerly of Down, Conleith Gilligan, formerly of Derry, and of course an All-Ireland winning coach, an AIB All-Ireland Club Championship winning coach with Kilcoo, and today part of the BBC Sport commentary team. Thank you for joining us here in Newry. We're Down have got a big victory against Donegal in the Ulster Senior Football Championship quarter-final, 213 to 111 the final score. Donegal go on to the All-Ireland series. For Down, it's an Ulster semi-final against Armagh next weekend. A lot more on this and everything else from the sporting and GA world on the Off the Ball social media channels.